I'm your host, Kimberly Newton-Nichols, and this is Something's Coming Up. Thank you for joining me once again, where we reach one, teach one, save one. However we do it because something's coming up. We purge it out. So today's topic, we will be talking about equality, transitions, and being treated with love and respect at all costs. My guest today, Kayleigh Scott, and I'm honored to have her. I thank you for coming and sitting with me and being willing to share your story, your way, under your terms. I know this won't be easy for you. I am grateful that you're willing to use your voice to help someone. So I want you to just introduce yourself pretty much.
Okay.
And let people know a little bit of where you went to school, and you tell them how we met, because I'm going to tell them what I was saying when I met you. So this is, I don't want to say ex-coworker. I can't say that. We'll be back.
That's right. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
Okay. So we'll highlight you on that later, but we will be back. So go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, again, I'd like to thank you for the invite out onto your show.
Okay.
It's exciting to be able to share my story with a new platform.
Okay.
So my name is Kayleigh Scott, but it didn't always used to be. Growing up, my name used to be Kyle.
Okay.
And where do I even start?
Where do you start?
Where do I start? Growing up, I knew something was different about me.
Okay.
You know, growing up, parents start to, push the given narrative on you. You know, my parents, they bought me the Legos and they bought me all the army toys, and my dad used to dress me up as a cop for Halloween as a kid, and and just growing up, I was a boy. That's what I was, and I grew up in more of a difficult household.
Where was home for you? Where did you live?
I'm from Milton, Vermont.
Milton, Vermont.
Milton, Vermont is the town where I'm from. And it was a long journey. Just growing up, just living as a boy, and early on in my life, I started to figure out that things were different. These clothes don't feel right. These toys don't feel right.
At what age would you say you first noticed that?
I was probably about nine when I started to realize that I don't think I'm a boy. Yeah.
And I just want to say, you're going to be teaching me. So if I have a question and it seems odd, I'm asking a question because I don't know and I want to learn.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
So that's what this is about, a teaching moment. And also for someone else who's going through this, who doesn't have a platform and think they're alone.
Of course.
So I can't stress that enough. It's to let people know these things happen, and they happen, and people are struggling and they don't have a voice. And I want to thank you again for sharing your voice. So your home consists of mom, dad, you,
and my sister. Home was weird growing up. I don't think my parents were always happy with each other. When I was really young, when I was about 7, my parents separated for about a year.
Okay.
I don't remember a lot from it. I know that me, my mom, and my sister lived with my grandma and grandpa for about a year, but those memories are really vague, like a lot of memories from my childhood.
Okay.
There's some stress that came in those early years, and I feel like my mind is kind of just blocked out.
That's what I was going to ask you.
A lot of that. I know that growing up, my dad, got angry pretty easily. He wasn't super abusive or anything, but sometimes we'd get hit, and sometimes it would be a little excessive. I remember crying a lot as a kid. I don't really remember much else after that. I know my mom was a scared person. I feel like she was more or less scared of my dad. He was a heavy lifter. He was
lifter,
like
bodybuilding,
lifting weights.
Okay.
Bodybuilding, powerlifting and such.
Okay.
My dad's been a cop, for over 30 years.
Okay. So that's where the strictness will come in, and
very, very strict, disciplined household. I come from a long bloodline of those who served in the military.
Okay.
My dad was in the Marine Corps. His father in the Air Force, and then retired with New York State Corrections. After my dad got out of the Marine Corps, he was a correctional officer.
So the whole line is of discipline and order.
Of discipline, and even far back on my dad's side and my mom's side too. My mom's a Navy brat. She was born in Key West on the Naval Air Station. My grandfather's a retired Navy commander. So she spent the first 8 years of her life traveling around the world. From she's born in Key West and then lived in Rota, Spain, and in London, and all
now,
over
did your
the US.
family, your immediate family, travel a lot, or
No.
were he was already finished with that?
Yeah, my grandfather retired in early 80s, so well before my time. My mom was just a kid.
Okay.
Just things weren't always the nicest at home.
Okay.
I have no doubt that my parents tried to provide the best household for their kids. Was it the best household? Not always.
Okay.
But I know that there was always some effort in that.
But they do probably better than their parents did, or they try, but sometimes they fall short and things happen.
I think with my mom, she had a pretty good house growing up.
Okay.
My grandfather is a pretty wise man. Both of my mom's parents are recovering alcoholics. So
Your mom's parents? Okay.
Yeah, my mom's parents, my grandparents on my mom's side, they're both recovering alcoholics. And my grandfather came back from that and learned from AA and gave back, and he ended up becoming a very influential drug and alcohol counselor for the state. Okay. And he worked with rehabilitation programs. My grandmother did too. They helped run a recovery center up in the mountains. Like that's
wow,
incredible.
that is a big
that's
deal.
Incredible, and I know that my grandfather has been a very influential person in my life, and he's been able to provide guidance. And he's been able
and
to
they're still a part of your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Pronouns are a new thing to them, and they slip up, but I know that their job is to love, not to judge.
Okay.
And
they
prove very well in that.
Major, especially knowing the background and that they're supportive. Absolutely. So that's absolutely, literally, like really a blessing. Because when you think of military and police and corrections in all in one in that family, you don't envision, you just envision stern and strict and you not so much understanding. And not that they're not capable, it's just that they're used to things done a certain way and this is what it is.
Yeah, of
so
course.
The fact that they're your grandparents even, and the willingness to open up and accept their grandchild, period, with no labels, is major.
Even my dad's father, he's been following Catholic faith, since childhood, and he retired with New York State Corrections. Even he, very accepting. I still talk to him. He addresses me as his granddaughter.
Okay.
Gets my name wrong a lot. Happens.
As did I. It's Kayleigh, and I go Kayleigh.
Kayleigh, yeah.
But it's Kayleigh,
it's
okay.
Kayleigh. Sometimes he calls me Kayla. My other grandfather calls me Kayleigh sometimes. No, nobody gets my name right.
And that's what I said. I won't mess it up because my niece's name is Kayla.
That's
so
right.
Kayleigh.
That's right.
And we're good.
You just combine the two,
right.
Kayla and Kayleigh.
Kayleigh, and
Kayleigh.
I'll get it. We're going to stop saying it because I'll mess it up again. So I got it now, and we're going to stay there. I want you to tell me, I know we talked about like your dad's family, your grandparents on both sides being super supportive, which is a plus because we know a lot of people don't have that.
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about, I know you said when you first realized that you felt a little different.
I started to realize it when I was around 9.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started to think, things are different.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when you start getting to that, those preteen years,
Mm-hmm.
Girls around you are, starting to experiment with clothes
Mm-hmm.
and makeup, and puberty hits. And when my body's going through puberty and I'm watching it with the girls around me, why is that not happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
And once I kind of started to figure it out, and this is like around 2009, 2010.
Well, let me ask you this 1 second, because a thought just came to me. You're saying you notice the girls' bodies are changing in puberty, and why is that not happening to you? Mm-hmm. So at that age, because I'm thinking as a child, generally the girls are with the girls, right?
Right.
And you're seeing this happen. Where are the boys that are your age?
I was hanging out with the boys
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, but I was also hanging out with the girls.
Okay.
I was always like a pretty feminine kid.
Mm-hmm.
My mom told me that people would ask her all the time, is Kyle, is he gay?
Really?
And my mom would say, I don't know. If he is, he'll come out when he's ready.
So even in that answer, that sounds like mom might have had an inkling.
Think mom probably had a little inkling. She knew I was different from a young age, and I think that she just assumed I was gay. When I was this younger age, realizing, I think I'm a girl. Mm-hmm. Even then, I didn't really know what trans was. Mm-hmm. And, this is like around 2009, 2010. I started like doing research on the computer, and I started to, understand what it meant to be transgender. Back then, the terminology was different. Things have been more appropriated through the years. The proper term now is transgender. Back then, it was transsexual.
So it's transgender now.
Transgender. Okay. That is the politically correct term.
Okay.
So I remember it took me a couple years, to be able to talk to my mom about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like 11 or 12 at this point. I remember I would go downstairs late at night, every night, to go try to talk to her. And then I'd just sit next to her and I wouldn't say anything.
A word.
And then I'd just go right back upstairs.
You went down with a purpose.
And then I'd get scared because I knew that it was different. Mm-hmm. And I know that I'd seen kind of the way that my dad kind of interacted with, more or less the TV and the way that he talks about people. He's a really conservative guy and has some very different mindsets, that I don't really agree with.
So you've always been closer to mom?
Definitely been closer to mom.
Okay, because I was wondering.
I've tried to be close to my dad to get my dad to like me. I'll piggyback on that later on through his story, but I knew that this is stuff that dad wouldn't like. I was scared, and I remember I texted my mom. I don't know if it was over text or over Facebook or whatever. I was like 11 or 12 at the time, and I texted her, and then she came into my room.
What did you say?
She came to talk to me, and
what was your text?
I don't remember a lot from it, but back then. This is before I knew it was like, I think I'm trans, I think I'm transgender. A lot of the stuff I was looking at is talking about like sex reassignment, because that was that's what it was called then,
right?
Which is now gender confirmation or affirming yourself with your gender identity. She came in, she talked to me, and even then, like, I didn't know. I felt embarrassed and confused. And she was like, "Are you gay?" I was like, "No, I'm not gay." She goes, "So do you like guys?" I'm like, "I don't know." She said, do you like girls? Are you lesbian? I said, I don't know.
You wasn't sure where.
I didn't know. And my mom said that she was going to find someone for me to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing ever happened after that.
A therapist?
Nothing happened.
Okay.
And it kind of just bottled itself up for a while. I remember she would talk to me a couple times, I'd be in the kitchen or something. She'd be like, hey, are you still thinking about this? And I just I start getting so anxious. I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know.
At any point was Dad included in the conversation?
No.
Okay.
No. And, things, it just kind of bottled up, because this is something major. My body was going through a puberty that it shouldn't have, and my body was changing, and the more that happens, the more you start to think, how much further can I go back? And it just kept building up and growing up. It was a rough town I grew up in. You wouldn't think that there would be rough towns in Vermont, but
thinking quiet.
But at the time, the school I went to had a lot of problems. This was I was playing football too, and I even remember the day I told my parents hey, I'm gonna go play football. Even my dad was like, are you sure? Are you sure you really want to do that? I was like, yeah, Dad's gonna like me. I'm doing all this stuff, for Dad's attention.
But were you doing it? That's my question. Were you doing it because you wanted to do it, or were you doing it to get his attention?
I sucked at football. I hated going to practice. I was not good at it. I was backup third string.
Was it flag football or actual?
This is around 8th grade at this point, so it was actual football. But I was also a drama kid.
Okay.
I was in theater, and I was a little bit more artsy when I was younger. I was more effeminate in a lot of ways, and I was just trying to do all these things to try to fit in with the guys around me. Trying to mask myself and blend in.
Let me ask you this, as you say that. So being in school, wanting to play football, but more of a feminine in drama. I know being around kids, they gravitate to anything that's different to tease and make fun of. Did the children in your school, your peers, did they notice anything different about you? Did you meet any bullying, or were you supported in school, or it wasn't even noticed at that point?
I had some very supportive people in, the theater groups. Because that's a place where people can express themselves.
Right.
But at that point in time, even then, the school system was a little weird, because I remember I was getting bullied by kids on the football team for being in theater, and I was being bullied by some theater kids for playing football.
Okay.
There was no happy medium. And the bullying was just getting so bad with the football team especially. And it got to a point where I didn't feel safe with either group, and I quit both. I left drama and I left football, and that's when things just kind of started to get really bad. There was some threats coming from some of the kids. Called, you freaking queer in the hallways, getting pushed up against lockers and everything, getting targeted. On the practice field and everything. And I left. And things between that, the bullying, hiding who I was, not addressing it.
It's all building up now.
It all built up, and it got to a point where I couldn't hold on any longer. And, I made an attempt on my life, and it put me in, out of school for about a month. I was in an outpatient program, in this youth rehabilitation house kind of thing. They put you in there for 10 to 14 days with other kids who, some of them have drug charges or were drunk driving and everything. And I felt like I was a criminal instead of someone who needed help. And it's just the restrictions where you're in a bedroom with, you can't have anything in there. You can't be around any other people.
No
you
locked
can't touch
doors.
each other.
Yeah.
You can't hug people. Having these group therapy sessions and everything with people talking about how they just got arrested, and it's like, no, this isn't me. I need someone.
And they pull everybody together, and this is where
it doesn't work.
It has to be fixed, and that's where we need the medical field and mental health to really, really reach out and try to change this, because it's still going on today.
And the worst part about it is that I pretended I was okay so I could get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out even worse, and things built up again. I was okay for a couple weeks because I came back home. People were like, "Are you okay?"
The support, the love.
There was some support, but things kind of started going back to normal. And then it got bad again, and I made another attempt on my life, and this one, it resulted in me getting removed from my school system. I got expelled because I tried to take my own life at school because I couldn't bear the thought of doing it at home. And I was failed by a school system that tried to sweep it under the rug.
We're going to take a break.
Okay. So I ended up getting expelled from school because of that, because it was